Doing guys, it's just going to be a quick presentation on behalf of myself, so just a little background. Basically, my name's Michael Hill. I'm a property portfolio builder in the West Midlands, and what that involves basically is an end-to-end process on behalf of people that maybe haven't got the time, the resources, or the knowledge to invest in property, but they want the long-term wealth that a buy-to-let property will provide. And I basically source those properties and secure them and also carry out a refurb and get them letted out on behalf of clients in the West Midlands area, which I believe is the best area to invest in the UK, which I will go through why shortly, and also how I can help and what's involved in the service that I provide. So we're going to be going through basically my investment criteria for the West Midlands and what I can facilitate on behalf of my investment partners. So yeah, let's get started. So the content of the presentation is going to be an overview of my target criteria to start with, which I'll take you through what each letter represents in that criteria. Then it'll be the readiness check, which will be where I'll basically be asking you what your limitations are. Are you ready to proceed? And from there, it'll be setting your expectations. So going through what sort of returns you're looking for, how I can help facilitate those returns, and looking back on, let's say, the past historical data that also backs this up, and why investing in a good old buy to let is still a very, very profitable strategy and well established as well as a good barometer of long term wealth. So that's what I'll be going through there, number three. Number four is how we can help. So it'll be what's involved in the process. So what's involved in my end-to-end service that I provide. So I'll be going through that. And then lastly, how to get in touch with myself, or even how to receive free updates and a free investment guide if you wanted to. I'll let you know how you can receive them towards the end, and we'll go from there. So yeah, the first thing I'm just going to go through is the target quality checklist, which is what each property has to meet that I look for on behalf of investment partners. So as you can see, it stands for T for type, A for area, R for regeneration, G for growth, E for existing property, and T for tenant criteria. And these are what we believe to be the 6 most important factors when carrying out quality checks on each property. And these are considered and gone through stringent checks on behalf of myself to ensure basically that you're getting the best value for your investment at a minimal price. So it's not like I'm going to be expecting you to spend more than what you need to be able to make a good investment. You can still do that, not putting as much money into a property, and I'll go through what I believe the sweet spot for that is over the next slides. So as just mentioned, first one, type of property usually that I would secure would be terraced or semi-detached houses, because I believe these have historically and still do provide the best return on capital employed. Yes, it's not a case of you can only get terraced and semi-detached, of course. There is other types of properties that you could invest in, but these are the ones that, let's say, they are the bread and butter. They are the ones that I believe will provide the best value in terms of your property investment. So typically I would look at between 90 and 180 grand, purely because that's sort of like the sweet spot basically, where you're not, because if you're going over, let's say, around the national average is 290 grand right now in the UK. So, and in the West Midlands, that's around about 250k that we've got at the moment. And I know for a fact that if you're going upwards to that 250k, so above 200k, there's less scope for basically the growth of the property. If you can get them between this range, that's where I believe you'd be getting the highest return on your money. So that's what the sweet spot is. So next step is the area. So as I've mentioned, across the West Midlands it is, but it's mainly across suburban areas with a transient population and strong local economy to maximise the growth of your investment. So for instance, in the West Midlands right now, there's currently 4.7 million people, and a quarter of that is under 20 years old. So young, vibrant, up and coming, let's say, demographic at the moment in the West Midlands. We've also got the largest economy of any combined authority area at 118 billion right now, expected to increase population as well by 500,000 in the next 20 years. And we are home to 9 universities, which create 63,500 graduates annually. And then, not to mention as well, home to leading businesses in key sectors. So, for instance, as a lot of you will know that are local, will know that in the automotive and the health, business and financial services, and I'd probably say the creative industries as well, we are quite big, and there is a lot of growth happening in those sort of departments. And obviously all of this contributes to provide high capital growth, which then in turn is also a high rental yield, which you'll be getting each month. And of course, as mentioned, the population's always growing. So the next one is regeneration. So there's currently a range of development sites and town centre regeneration schemes that are going on across the West Midlands, and billions of pounds are being invested to improve the region's transport network. So for instance, as a lot of you will know about HS2, the high-speed rail that's currently being built, it's going to result when finished basically in less than 40-minute travel time to get to central London from Birmingham, and it will run further up north as well through key areas. So from one end of the country to London, it'll basically, I believe, more than half the current time it takes to get there by train. So massive development, which is key to obviously the connectivity. And good thing about the West Midlands in terms of connectivity, to just go on about that, is that already anyway, it is the most connected region in the UK, as you can get to about 90% of the UK population and also 92% of UK businesses within 4 hours drive time. So, and you won't get that in other areas of the country. So obviously the further south you go to get up north, it's going to be a lot longer than 4 hours and vice versa. So it is a really well connected region, which is only going to get better with the addition of HS2, and also in terms of the further developments in towns, cities, and in the infrastructure. So, for instance, as mentioned on the slide, billions of pounds are being invested to improve the region's transport network. You've got derelict industrial land and supporting businesses, also to help and grow the innovative green businesses of the future. You've probably heard about the being hitting net zero by, I think it's 2041. So that's a target they've set out. And also even the airport as well. Something nearly forgot to mention, but yeah, the airports. So in terms of Birmingham at the moment, it's one of the fastest growing airports in Europe, and the global linkages are being expanded each year. So that's only going to get better and going to become a huge central hub. I think only second to areas in London, obviously your big ones in Heathrow and things like that. But we are up and coming and probably the next biggest airport in the UK after that. So next one is growth. So in order to provide you with exponential growth for your investment, we ensure to package deals for our clients in an area with strong capital growth prospects. So in order to attain strong capital growth, you need strong transport links, typically proximity to infrastructure areas, so close to areas nearby, let's say to rail, bus or road links, all being a short distance away, which is enabling people easier means of transport to get to key areas in different cities. And also you got your high sold subject to contract rates. So for instance, with that in the West Midlands right now, and you can search this on Rightmove if you wanted to and find out for yourself. But for every property for every two properties that's on the market right now, one of them is either under offer or sold subject to contract. So literally 50% of all properties on the market are actually under offer or sold subject to contract, which is really good. Anything above 30% is considered very good in terms of this. So that shows that basically the area has got really good capital growth prospects. And when I say infrastructure, I'm talking in terms of structures where physical components are required. So you've got like your electrical grid across the city, state or the country, and facilities, equipment or similar physical assets as well, like bridges and roads, obviously, which is essential to the economy and also helps citizens to participate in the social and economic community and provides them with necessities, basically like your food and your water. So yeah, key things to be honest that drive the growth they are. And right now in the West Midlands, we are looking very healthy in terms of that. So that growth is definitely there. And then the next thing we do tend to focus on is already existing properties. So it's important to forget, sorry, now it's important to target even robust properties in established areas for our clients. So as a lot of people will know that in and around, like, let's say the new development space and things like that, they can often be overpriced and there's no actual guarantee of completion with the risk always of the developer possibly going bust. Not saying this is going to happen all the time, but obviously they are typically more of a risky investment. So I like to prioritise properties that have stood the test of time and have had a history of increasing in value. So already existing property is within that criteria that we look for. And lastly, the tenant criteria, which again is very important because you want the tenant demand in the area, which I know for a fact is absolutely buzzing in the West Midlands right now. Properties will go on Rightmove, Zoopla, and they'll be gone almost instantly. So there is very high rental demand at the moment. But yeah, but it's key because we have to make sure that we have an abundance of tenants and the right type of tenant that will look after your investment. So the ideal demographic for this would be either a family or young professionals, because ideally a family will make that house their home and they'll have their children grow up in that house, and it's the sort of person that you'd like, or the sort of demographic you'd like to rent your home out to. And also young professionals would also be ideal to look after that investment for you. So those are the main demographics we talk. I'm not saying it's exclusive to them. Obviously, there can be somebody else that comes across, and we're not going to discriminate on anybody, but ideally, that is the sort of tenant that we would look for to make sure that your investment's safe and it's being rented out to the right people. So the next thing I'd do is I'd basically, and you should ask yourself this question, are you actually ready for property investment? Have you got the capital and the resources right now? If you have, then there's nothing really stopping you from using a property portfolio builder such as myself to be able to help you in that journey and to make sure that you get the best investment for your money at a minimal price. So to proceed, if the answer to that is yes, then the next thing I'd like to do is just set some expectations. So as you can see from the graph, the average UK house price, which has been adjusted for retail price inflation, as you can see, from 1952 to now, the growth has been exponential. You're talking in the last 20 years alone, minimum 8% growth annually. And you can see here it is a noticeable upwards trajectory over the last 70 plus years. And every correction, as you can see here, always followed by a boom, generally goes up. So it's one of those you need to ask yourself that question, like, if you already have the means, as in the resources to be able to invest in property, but maybe you're not sure what makes good investment, or you're thinking, I want to save on my time so I can spend more time with family, do the things I want to do, and not have to trail through hours and hours and hours of research to get the right property and go on attending loads of different viewings, speaking to agents, dealing with solicitors, mortgage brokers, getting the best deal for yourself in terms of your interest rates and things like that. And then obviously, even if work needs doing, dealing with your contractors and builders and things like that, and then to get them tenanted, as you can see, is a long process. And I try to expedite that process as quickly and as efficiently as possible for my investment partners. So yeah, if you got the capital, it's not a case of you should be focusing on the next 12 to 18 months as time to do nothing. Because as we know right now, with inflation around 10%, which, let's be honest, most likely it's even higher than that, your savings are being eroded. And these people that tell you to save that money, you're just decreasing that spending power that you've got by letting it sit in the bank. Because as we know, it's going to be earning 0 point, you know, F all. So yeah, would you rather put that money to good use and make it work hard for you? I know I would. So that is why right now, especially with the way the market is at the moment, it's a fantastic opportunity to acquire great deals during the dip. So what my mentor would often say to me is, if in doubt, zoom out. And that's the sort of thing you're looking at here. If you're looking at the last month, it's going to just be choppy. It's going to be up and down, up and down. Well, at the moment, it's sort of stabilising and slightly actually growing, 1.8% over the last month, I believe. House prices increased. So yeah, so much for the crash that there was all trying to get everyone to believe was going to happen. But yeah, you have to have that right mindset. And when, just to touch on that about if in doubt, zoom out. what my mentor basically is saying with that is you have to have that delayed gratification mindset when it comes to investing in property, because the key thing about a buy-to-let investment is the long-term wealth and the capital appreciation that you gain from the property, and the fact that you can then pass that tangible asset on to your kids, and your kids' kids can do the same. And that's the sort of thing that you need to be looking at the bigger picture, and not getting caught up in the instant gratification that we have in today's world, where everybody thinks things can be achieved overnight almost. It's just not the way it works. So, yeah. And just to put that into context as well, in 1952, average house price was actually around 1,891, which is just startling. Today, 290,000. So, if that doesn't tell you the story, I don't know what will. But yeah, that's the right mentality, I believe, that people need to be thinking about. And this basically is a little summary of what the 5-step process is to get you guys to basically get the best results out of your investment and a very good return on your investment, which we calculate with each property. So once it goes through that target criteria, basically I will present that property to my investment partners, and they can see for themselves, obviously view the property and decide whether to proceed from there. But the whole thing is done end to end on behalf of you by myself and my team. This is just an overview of how that is done. So from step one, you'll have a detailed strategy consultation, so like a discovery call with myself, which will establish your requirements, so exactly what it is you're looking for, what strategy you want to employ. And then I can decide and we can have a chat and see if we're right for each other, if there's a fit there to proceed. And then from that, I will basically, after agreeing all of this, begin sourcing properties that meet your chosen criteria, and then, as mentioned, put them to you to see if you are happy for me to proceed. From there, you'll have access to our legal and finance team after the agreement with the vendor. So obviously this will be the conveyancing process. So getting the property through the legals and then financed at the best rate that we can get for you through my mortgage brokers. And step 4 is access to our trades team. So if there's any refurbishment that needs to be carried out, that can also be facilitated. And from there on to step 5, which is getting the property letted out. So that'll be access to a local lettings agency to assist in letting out the property, which again, as touched on earlier, will be to the ideal demographic, and making sure that it is the right sort of tenant in the property. So yeah, how to get in touch. Basically, if you want to speak about your investment criteria with myself, you can either call on the number on the screen right now, drop an email to michael.hill@mhillproperty.com, or if you're already ready after all that and you have all the information you want or that you needed to be able to make a decision or to be able to have a chat, basically you can book a free discovery call if you go to this link here, bit.ly/book free consultation call. That'll take you to a little link which you'll be able to select the time and a date to be able to have a Zoom call with myself. And from there we can discuss, obviously in person, face to face over Zoom, what your criteria is and how I can help. And obviously any questions you have as well, see if we're the right fit for each other, that sort of thing. And you can also find me on my socials as well. So that'll be at Hill Property. That's for Facebook or Instagram. If you put that in, it'll pop up on there. And you can also find me on LinkedIn as well. If you search my name on there, Michael Hill, you'll find me on LinkedIn. So yeah, just want to direct you as well, guys. If you're not yet sure, but you'd like a little bit more information and more context on the West Midlands and also my services and what I provide, you can also go to a link which I'll put in the description below that'll take you to my free investment guide. You just have to enter a few details, subscribe, and then from there you'll receive it for free, a free download, and you can have a look at that yourself. I did put a lot of time into that, a lot of research, so that'll be very helpful for you guys. So yeah, thank you for your time and your attention. And I hope everybody got a lot of value out of this and you've got a very good understanding now of what I can do and how I can help you guys. And yeah, basically, please get in touch and have a good day. Thank you.